everybody. You're listening to the Comic Book Bears podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
And I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
And we are your hairy, heavy homos that talk about comic books, but you don't have to be a hairy, heavy homo to listen in. And we're here with you for the final time for 2021, wrapping this year up. Almost hit the holidays. Christmas just a few days away. We're here for one last time, and God, I'm making that sound like there's such a finality to it. And we do have an announcement about the show. We are going to be going on a bit of a hiatus, but we'll talk about that towards the end. Nothing to worry about. Early January is going to be very busy for some of us, so we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But there actually will be content in the feed, I'm happy to say. Talk about that a little later. So why don't we get started with some of our gets?
I have a feeling, because Caleb and I were just talking right before starting, that there might be some interesting gets that you can actually see over on Caleb's side of the screen here.
Yeah, so I got a few. So I had a friend reach out, and I'm not a Lego person, but my friend Flippa, our friend, I should say, Bill was friends with him first, as is most of my friends. I just ride on Bill's coattails.
Yeah, but that's probably about the only person out of that orbit that is I think Arnie. I think Arnie would have been contemporaneous. Yeah,
probably. Yeah. But he sent me a couple little Lego figures, little Scarlet Witch, and then a little Lady Loki. I'm blanking. Steve, we were talking earlier. I am blanking on her name.
Sylvie, wasn't it? Wasn't it like Sylvie?
Yeah, I got a little Sylvie that happened, and then like you guys know, and a lot of people who listen to the show know, I'm married to a nurse, so a lot of times on the holidays I don't get to spend holidays with my husband, and so we actually did Christmas tonight. And I'm not going to just show you everything because that would take up way too much time, but I did get some really cool stuff that I think is going to make both of you kind of happy and giddy, and I'm happy and giddy. George Perez Wonder Woman Omnibus Volume 2. Specifically important to me, number one, George Perez is that's my artist, and so I love him. I didn't have this, but with the news that just came out, that we've all spoken about, even more so important and heartfelt. And because I'm on a music kick, Raj and I both are. Half of our Christmas presents to each other consisted of records. So I got Iron Maiden, Made in England. Got that little live album. I also got Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast. Bill, you're muted.
I know. Do you want to hear how old I am?
Sure. I don't know how to answer that question.
I saw Maiden on the Number of the Beast tour.
That's awesome.
It's old but awesome. As the opener,
old but awesome.
As the opening act for Judas Priest on the Screaming for Vengeance tour.
I mean, I'm going to say as it should be because I'm a huge Priest fan, but that's just me. I mean, I love both of those bands. And then, of course, to round it all out, Maiden Seventh Son, which is my favorite Maiden album. I love this album.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Huge. This is like, as far as a concept album goes, love this album.
Is that the one? Can I Play with Madness? Is that one on there?
Yes.
Okay.
The prophecy.
That may be. Yeah, that may be the last Maiden album I got on vinyl.
It's so good. It is so good. And then to wrap out the vinyl, a non-metal album, a guy that I'm a big fan of, The White Buffalo. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. If people aren't, he's kind of got a country vibe to him, but it's not like Nashville twang country. It's old school kind of outlaw country. If you've seen Sons of Anarchy and you've listened to the soundtracks to Sons of Anarchy, he's on a ton of it. Him and the Forest Rangers. So love this guy. So thank you to my husband, and I'm also drinking some really nice bourbon that he got me. So, and that's my gets for this wonderful Wednesday evening.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And also that poster behind you, that Hulk, seems a little new. I think, isn't it?
So the poster itself isn't new. I don't know if people can let me move it. So I've had the poster for a while, but I'm having to rearrange some of my art in here because I got some new art, some new pictures that are not comic art. without bringing the mood down, Raj and I just had to let one of our 18-year-old Boston Terrier. We just had to say goodbye. He got a painting, a large canvas painting done, and he got me some professional pictures like printed out and made that I'm going to put up in my office. So I'm currently restructuring that, and because I want to see my baby girl and stuff like that. So I'm putting some more art on the walls. So I'm really excited. So those are my gifts. I don't want to go get the pictures because I'll start crying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go, Steve, or?
Well, sure, yeah. A couple things I actually do not have up here with me because they're very cumbersome and hard to bring around. But it's mostly this year, and most years Jason and I don't really do like a full Christmas thing. But because this year we are planning a trip in the very near future to a wonderful tropical place that we've never been. Of course, we took it upon ourselves to get a lot of new stuff to get ready for something like that. Because, of course, the one thing you want to do when you travel is have, like, a bunch of extra junk with you. And so we got some beautiful new luggage that is really cool. And when you're in adulting mood, it's like, luggage is the coolest thing you can get for yourself. But I also got myself a new Kindle Paperwhite, which I've been resisting getting a Kindle since they came out because I'm like, why? I've got a phone, I've got an iPad. Yeah, but those things have glare, and they're hard to bring on a beach. But when you've got a little thingy and you can read all of your books, it makes me really happy. And actually, the quality of it is so beautiful, even for grayscale for comics. It's great. But outside of all that stuff, I did recently get I would say, sort of a Christmas care package from a certain gentleman in New Jersey. And he found me some, like, I don't know who, but, surprise. He found me some really, really cool things. One thing that I'll talk about a little bit later, but these packs of Valiant, like the first volume trades from the original Valiant releases back in the very, very early part of the 90s of Shadow Man, Exo Man of War, and of course the original Harbinger. And each one of these packs also comes with a special edition comic book, also released around the same time. This one is Harbinger number 0. We've got the Exo database. There's Dark Passages special one-shot from Shadow Man. So some really cool, hard-to-find stuff. And I'll actually get to go back and reread these because it's been 20 years since I've read the original run of Harbinger, and I never read the original Exo or Shadow Man, so I'm really excited to get into that. So thank you very much, Bill. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. I have to thank my local shop over next town over, Dr. Wonders Comics and Collectibles. They let me know when esoteric stuff comes in, and I was like, hold it, I'll be over. You just solved a Christmas shopping issue for me. Okay, for me, I'm one of those people that doesn't receive a lot of gifts, though I give a shit ton of them. It's just the way things work. But I did get a couple things so far. One of our regular viewers, Tony Gilkinson, got me these amazing Superman logo coasters. And the name of the company, it's a gay bear owned company called Padawan Bear Patches, and the products are mostly Star Wars stuff, but these really nice coasters based on the 78 logo and then one of the more updated ones. So happy to have that. Thank you very much, Tony. I did see my straight concert husband today in my travels, and one of his things, it's become a tradition that there's a particular artist, Matthew Lynham, who we've talked about on the show in the past, and every year he's getting me an ornament now. So he did get me the Dave Vanian Happy Holiday. So that's going to be going on the tree. Oh yeah, just go to MatthewLyman.com and you'll see the pass, and they're only limited for 1 year. He doesn't remake these, so I have Elfin Costello and I have Andy Partridge in a pear tree, for some others that joined for that. Didn't get too much for myself. I did finally, and I was at the point where I was just about to email you guys in case in your travels that you hit Walmart's because Spin Master finally made these available on a mass scale. These are some of the new Batman Spin Master figures. So Batwing and Deathstroke and Harley Quinn.
Cool.
They were on the, what do you call them? Can't really call them the end caps, but the aisle displays where they have some of the Christmas stuff. And for people who are looking for some very hard to find figures from the past, like the John Stewart Green Lantern and Gorilla Grodd, these are like suddenly available. So if you are a collector of the Spin Master stuff, you can get to that. And also my travels, I got today short boxes. That's like victory every time you find them now. And the store that I was in once had an entire row of Fantastic Four figures from the Toy Biz series in the mid 90s that was based on the comic book series. Looks like somebody bought most of them, so there was this lonely Gorgon. So I decided to adopt him today. So those are some of my gets. So
Lonely Gorgon. It sounds like you could probably, the song from The Sound of Music, just replace Goat Herd with Gorgon, and there you go. You've got the new hit from. We've had some more people join us. James Figueredo. Hello, James. Good evening,
James.
Handsome Bears. It's always nice to see you.
Handsome Bear yourself.
And we've also got joining us Aggressively Relaxing over on the YouTube channel. Hello there.
Hello. Thanks for joining us.
And David had to mention here, jolly old Saint Bill. Yeah.
I'm the ho ho ho. Yeah.
So Bill talking about not receiving gifts very often. Number one, we're going to remedy that. Number two, you literally just need to have a title behind you that's it's like what to get for the man who has everything. Because I keep finding things and I keep texting people that we know. I'm like, do you think he has this? And they're like, oh, he's got to have that. Well, shit. What about this? Oh no, he's definitely got that. Like, well, what about this? Like, I'm going to get you an air freshener from a Volvo in 1992. It's something.
There is a fallback in the Green Bay Packers. You can always go to that for me, but I understand that because it's happened in the past. Yeah. I mean, I don't have an Ashton Martin. I mean, it's like various like. But,
see,
I
with
don't
many
have
Hot Wheels
land.
I doubt that.
I don't have tracts of land. I'm okay with that too.
Huge tracts of land.
Gonna
Huge
give you Greenacre.
Yeah.
Petticoat Junction. Petticoat Junction.
Yeah, I'll give you Blackacre.
When they roamed into Blackacre. That would be a great horror movie title.
Just a bunch of law school students, really. Yeah. Just like real estate law.
A CLE gone wrong.
Yeah. It's also interesting with law school is with real estate. That's one area where, because laws are so different in states that's one thing like Caleb and I probably can never commiserate on. When it gets to real estate and land use law.
That and probably family law. States are so it's
but family law. There seems to be a little more congruity, like the North versus the South versus the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like I don't think the laws in Indiana are that greatly different from Illinois, but the laws in New Mexico to Illinois might be drastically different.
Right.
So that does seem to be more regional. So I do think there are things that operate in clusters. But then again, when I had to study family law for New York, I was like, they care about this,
Yeah.
So
it could be.
New York doesn't care about families.
Yeah. We could be Louisiana, who is just different from everybody because they're based off the French system.
Yeah.
For everything, property, family law, it's all just like
there is such a thing as the Napoleonic Code.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, we've gone off
so
the
much
deep end
fun.
here.
Yep.
Splash. Actually, speaking of legal acquisitions, is that? Almost works. Almost
look
works.
at you! Oh, look at you streaming. Okay, go.
Fist bump.
Almost works.
There, just...
Poo. some big news this week. I mean, it just happened. What, Monday, Tuesday that it was announced that Dark Horse Entertainment, the whole shebang, all of it, the comics, the other media ventures, and of course the store itself, Things from Another World, were snatched up from by a Swedish game holding company, which was really interesting for them. What, Embracer, I think it was, or Embracer Holdings, and just like looking at their history, like they own several video game studios, a couple board game studios, a lot of like mobile games and console game, game studios and things like that. THQ Nordic, if you're a big RPG fan, like they do a lot of that. They have a huge archive of like classic video games and hard to find stuff, and now Dark Horse. Now they've got comics and whatnot. And at first when I heard this, I was kind of surprised. Like I'm like, what? Why are they acquiring this? But then I realized and remembered, Dark Horse also has a lot of video game adaptation licenses. Dragon Age, mostly with EA, but like Dragon Age and Mass Effect comics, they've had tons of those. The Witcher, they've done those comic adaptations, and some other video game adaptations. So this might be possibly a good partnership. I mean, it's not a partnership; they own them now, but like now they might have access to other licenses that can possibly get the Creative Comic treatment. As opposed to, having it be just comics related. But also Embracer might be able to get a lot of those properties or have access to some of those properties that Dark Horse already has to make games out of them. I mean, I'd love to get a Hellboy game that's actually good. So who knows? Maybe Black Hammer RPG.
Well, also though, keep in mind that Dark Horse does not own Hellboy and does not own Black Hammer and does not own Grendel. There are some properties they do own, like Barbed Wire and Ghost, The Mask. I mean, there are some that they do own outright. It's more of a participation deal, rights of first refusal, things along those lines. But when it's coming to a subject like Black Hammer, what there's huge buzz about, especially post Sweet Tooth. That you can see Lemire can adapt into other media. That's very important. That they have that initial first refusal right. It is incredibly important. Yeah.
So I was reading into the minutia of this, and number one, finding out it's a Swedish company, which is pretty interesting, especially with a company that's this was an American company. It was based out of Milwaukee. Dark Horse was. Embracer is a Swedish company, so it's interesting that they're going to be taking it international. So Dark Horse owns outright. They have about 300 properties, and when Embrace, the guy who is the main person for Embracer, Lars Wingfors is his name. He's the CEO of it. They are really interested in just data mining it for the potential, whether that be video games or just kind of anything. And they're not a small company. I mean, Embracer has, I think, 8 other subsidiaries all across the board that can do a lot of things. So it's going to be very, very interesting to kind of see what happens with it. I don't know. Like, part of me wonders if this isn't a placeholder. Like, part of me would not be surprised to see this get resold in 5 years. Just to see what they can do, just from a strategy standpoint. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I have no idea. They may want to sit on it and see how much they can get out of their investment. But I mean, and it's not a small investment. I mean, Dark Horse makes fairly decent money. They're estimated to make somewhere around like 98.7 million in sales this year. So this is not small fries that they're dealing with. So I'm very interested to see what comes out of this and where they go. But I mean, there's also the potential that they break it up and sell the IPs out, which is another issue. I'm curious to see what'll happen because they could fracture it. They could fracture it and sell off the pieces. So it's gonna be weird to see where they go. I mean, I'm a pessimist when it comes to these things.
Right.
So
But also, we do have Mike Richardson retaining 20% of the stock and
Yes.
him still effectively running Dark Horse Comics. And, they did stress in the initial press release, which is always stressed and sometimes turns out to be bullshit. And sometimes it turns out to be true that it's basically going to be, there's basically going to be no change in some areas. When you do have these companies, though, that are, these farms, it's and especially that they acquire, at least in terms of the video game area, like so many similar companies. It's a little strange. It's almost like, and like you said, Caleb, there's that element that it might be the IP equivalent of flipping.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I think with comic book people, though, a video company buying a comic book company, that worked out really well for Valiant.
Acclaim.
That was also
Acclaim and Valiant back in the day.
That was also people. That was also like 26 years ago. So there's a lot of things that are different now. So
Valiant wasn't a major property at the time, and Acclaim, although they were a known video game company, they didn't really have a lot of future. I think it was just they were just trying to consolidate some kind of thing, some kind of property, so that they could get some stuff out. And I mean, you got the Turok games for N64, which I guess were really awesome. So
they were fun. So I don't know if you guys were as surprised as I was, though. I actually thought Mike Richardson owned a lot more of the company than 20%. I was operating under that. Yeah,
I think prior to this acquisition, he was at like 51. Which is not uncommon. When you're it's not an uncommon place to be. I don't know exactly, and then these people that were saying like about how he sold this, like he's been trying to sell the company since The Mask was a success on film.
Well, yeah, and so I saw a lot of people who were commenting saying, "Oh, this is out of nowhere," and I was like, "No, it's not." And I remember reading it. Comics Beat actually published something in early December, saying, "Hey, it looks like it's up for sale." So it's like it's not exactly out of nowhere, and it looks like and I didn't know this, but I'm just kind of fascinated by the minutia of the stuff. He lost a controlling share or having the controlling share in 2018. A Chinese company called Vanguard Visionary Associates out of Hong Kong. They were actually. Wait, do what now?
No, I said these fucking names. These
I have no idea. Yeah, VVA. They got the majority stake in 2018. So, and I wonder if they're retaining anything. Who knows? So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's news to me too. I'd have to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, David mentions here the content landscape is so wildly different. I think this will be for the best. And you know what, I Caleb's taking the very pessimistic view of it. I'm leaning more towards the positive, the optimistic that this might end up being, a good thing. Maybe some extra push to get certain properties out there in different forms of media. And when you have a nerd-centered company, basically like a video game, board game kind of company, there's a potential there that they're going to really respect the properties themselves. Whether they do a great job with actually putting out something new in a different form, like, a great video game or a great board game or, a great film or TV project, who knows? But at least their kind of focus is on a fan base and developing and incorporating that fan base's ideas or ideals for what to do with this property. So
I would also say going into this, I would have sworn that Image was number 3 and Dark Horse at 4 in terms of of valuation, and it turns out not to be the case. The Dark Horse is number 3.
We're gonna get a resurgence of Time Cop. I feel it in my soul. So. It's gonna happen.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is like, I might be back on the silver screen for Time Cop. Well, but yeah, that was a pretty huge chunk of news. I'm very pleasantly surprised, especially this late in the year, to have something like that big happen. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So,
well, just on the topic of IPs and big news, I know you two gentlemen have not seen it yet, and so we're without burying the lead, we're not going to talk about Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man film on this show. So if people are wondering that, like, go ahead and answer that question. No, but I can report, because I've been to the other side. It is excellent. You should go see it. It's super fun. I adored it. I am not one of those people that after every Marvel movie says, "Oh, this movie X was my favorite Marvel movie of all time." I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those people.
I also love these people that like immediately come out with their rankings. It's like there's 27 friggin' films. Yeah. I don't have time to do that.
I don't do the quote unquote best because I'm not qualified to make that determination. And also, but whatever. But I will say, as far as just enjoyment, this is in the running, if not my favorite Marvel movie that I've seen, keeping in mind that recency bias is a real thing, right? But I'm not one. Just to defend myself, I'm not a person that says it after every movie. Winter Soldier has been my favorite forever. This might have edged it out. It's just delightful. I absolutely adore it. So go see it.
Yeah, and just to address that elephant in the room, there are reasons that Steve and I have. They're different reasons, but they all revolve around being cinema safe. And we're both in situations where the risk outweighs the action of going to a probably crowded film right now.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm hoping to see it soon. I really am. I did catch Hawkeye. I did wrap that up today. I don't know if we can talk about that, or we can talk about that another time. But isn't it amazing that we've had WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and the Spider-Man film in the same calendar year? That's wild.
It is.
It's a huge number of things that are just fantastic, and and just looking at the TV series alone, I mean, when each episode, I mean, WandaVision was a half an hour each, but Falcon Winter Soldier, they were hour apiece, Loki hour apiece, Hawkeye about an hour apiece. Like, you're looking at the equivalent of maybe 2 or 3 movies per series in terms of length and content, plus the other movies that we've already seen. Like, that's a huge chunk of output from Marvel Studios and Disney this year. So
not only that, but
next year's going to be more.
as James Figueredo pointed out, we also had What If. So
What If as well.
And that
it's
matters.
A cartoon. It didn't count.
It matters.
Well, it does now, because now it apparently ties into everything. Also, we've got some flying devil horns here from Mr. John Westhoff.
We also did. I don't know if you guys did see that the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness trailer came out today.
That trailer is where I say it matters, because you see stuff in that trailer that ties into What If. So it's it's one of those things. Yep. It's really cool. And to borrow a word from David Tobey, it's ambitious, and I respect ambition when it comes to these films. It really, really respect ambition, and I appreciate that. And that's why WandaVision, as far as the current run of films, WandaVision's my favorite, because as far as filmmaking and craft goes, it was ambitious. Yeah. And the same is true, I think, of Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, I'm really excited to see it when I do see it. I've had to really fight hard against spoilers, because everybody knows.
Somehow I've managed it, though. I've been okay. And Whamageddon. I'm still safe. I have not gone to Wham Holly yet.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard anything by Wham. So let's just play some now.
I do have a friend that did that in a video, and people got mad.
Yeah, I mean, we'd only be able to play for 30 seconds. So.
Yeah.
My other podcasting co-host Rick rolled me the other day, the bastard. So
how 2016?
Out of nowhere.
How 1997? That's awesome, though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And of course, there's some other shows some other movies that are dropping this week and next. We've got The Matrix, the latest Matrix movie. We've got The King's Man, which Bill, you know how much I love Kingsman, so yeah, we'll be seeing that.
Yeah. One of the most
someday.
Underpromoted movies I've ever seen, though.
Really? Because every
dude.
time I've been to the movies, it's just that preview constantly.
I've never seen that in a
every
preview.
time.
I've never seen that in a preview. Ever.
The one that I could tell you that I didn't see any previews for, and unfortunately it died a very quick death this past weekend, was Nightmare Alley, the new Guillermo del Toro movie, which I found out about last Thursday, and I think it's already out of theaters because Spider-Man took all the audience.
Yeah. Now, my plan was this week, Kingsman, Spider-Man, West Side Story, and then next week, Licorice Pizza. And
Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, just... Thanks, Omicron.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
I still wanted to see. I do still want to see West Side Story, and I really want to go see House of Gucci. I still haven't seen that yet. That's on my list. I may go actually
House
kind
of
of like
Gucci.
It's a little safer for me to go to the theater here because the lack of population. So I may try to sneak away to the movies on Christmas Day to go see it because they won't be crowded.
Yeah. But I have to get over. Hey, Adam Anderson. Hello.
Hey, Adam Anderson. Hey, Bill and Peeps.
If you remember, Steve, we met Adam at Baltimore Comic-Con when he was online for Frank Chan. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
So.
Hey, Adam. Hey, good to see you again.
Yeah.
And James actually said, this is how I feel anyway, looking at the AMC listings. Brazil, according to James, Brazil Spider-Man has taken over 96% of movie theaters. It's insane. I mean, it is on the way to being one of the highest grossing Marvel movies.
Yeah. It's also, if you look at Box Office Mojo, 5 of the top 6 films, 5 of them are Marvel based with Venom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Venom 2 did
only
really well this
Fast
year.
and Furious got in above Eternals. Yeah.
Give it time.
Eternals, which is coming to Disney Plus, January 12th in the US.
Yeah. And that's another thing is like one of my resolutions is to get the audio versions out quicker because releasing an audio for talking about Eternals is such a non-event at this point. I really have to get on the ball with that, so that is a resolution. Actually, the audio for this will be out tomorrow because
nice. You are a machine.
I will be doing that. Yeah, it's got to. I just got to get better at it. Really bad. You shut up.
Critic off camera.
You are a machine. You have been pumping out the audio episodes, so it's impressive. It really
it's
is.
not. It really isn't. I uploaded those before the December 1st changed over because of the space on the Libsyn account, and it's just like this early part of this month is like so crazy. Plus, with not going to the office for 2 weeks, there's always that thing like the last day you end up working 2 days worth anyway before you go on vacation. So the beginning of this month.
Don't I know that?
Yeah. Where are you? Is it just tomorrow and that's it for you, Steve?
I actually no. I have tomorrow and Friday off because they have to do 2 days for Christmas and they didn't want to do Monday. And then also I am working next week until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the last.
I haven't worked the week after Christmas in 11 years.
Really? Lucky.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm in a situation where, not to reveal who I work for, but if one of the other 3 companies does this, we end up doing it.
Yeah.
It's that. So it's been that way since I think 2010. Yeah.
I'm working next week, but it's by choice because I'm an hourly law clerk and I like money. So,
money is good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and I spent a lot of it, so I need some of it back.
Yeah. Oh, well, should we should we start talking about some comics? And actually, we are just to let everybody at home know, we are going to have our fourth person, Bryan Pittard, will be joining us hopefully shortly. He had another meeting that's going, over this time, but he will be jumping in, and we'll get to see him and hear about his comics, his comic choices for this week as well. So, yeah.
All right. Hopefully since you brought it up, Steve, let's start with you. Tell us about something that you read that you thoroughly enjoyed.
Thoroughly enjoyed. Thoroughly. Well, like I had said, I had gotten a gift package earlier last week with some wonderful Valiant titles, but then also this oddball was in the package as well. And this is the trade collecting the first 5 issues of something called The Illegitimates. Now, I had actually heard about this years ago because I have a huge crush and also am a fan of Taran Killam. And also Mark Andreyko, because why not? They're both really great at what they do and look pretty. So they had gotten together to collaborate on this series called The Illegitimates. And Taran Killam was taking writing duties with Mark Andreyko, with some wonderful art here by Kevin Sharp. There he is. Hello!
Hi!
Hello, stranger!
Good
to see you on. Yes. Excellent. And we're just starting with the comics.
So just started the comics.
Perfect timing. So anyway, so with this, so Taran Killam and Mark Andreyko working together, collaborating on this, with Kevin Sharp on art. And basically it's a story of the James Bond, a James Bond type figure. And one of the things that James Bond is known for, other than his really cool toys and his, debonair manner and all of, and all of his world tours and country hopping and all that stuff, is the fact that he sleeps with, I don't know how many women per movie. And this kind of takes the premise that he never really used protection. And so the Illegitimates are, very directly speaking, his illegitimate children with multiple femme fatales over the course of about 20-something odd years. And at the beginning of this, not to spoil anything, but our supposed hero, our spy, is unceremoniously killed in a very gross way, leaving basically the big spy agency Olympus without their top agent. And so, of course, they've had this backup plan this whole time with the illegitimate children. They've been grooming them behind the scenes, directing their interests and their abilities, and, have made these 5 offspring basically, the tops of what they can do. They're excellent sharpshooters, they're excellent, martial artists. One is an infiltrator, tough person. The other one is just super intelligent and everything. They all sort of embody aspects of, the James Bond super spy. And of course, there's a big bad who has this world-dominating plan that only these 5 can stop. And it's a fun romp. I had so much fun reading this. It's got a lot of goofiness. One of the characters is drawn by Kevin Sharp to look very, very similar to Taran Killam. So you're just sort of like, oh, nice modeling there. But it's got all the tropes, everything that you can throw from a James Bond movie thrown in here. But instead of, one spy kind of doing it all, you have 5, half siblings all just kind of, doing crazy things and trying to work together while being very, very different personality wise. Lots of fun. Came out, I think, was it 2014, put out by IDW. There's this trade, if you can find it, has some really great back matter. There's a lot of artwork here from Kevin Sharp, but also from Jerry Ordway. Some really great sort of variant covers and interpretations and stuff. But it's a lot of fun. And thank you very much, Bill, because I had a lot of fun reading it.
The reason that I picked that up for you was because I remember in 2013 that I think Matt Brossard had picked it up. and you were like, "Oh, I got to
Yeah.
get that," and then I never heard you mention it again, and then saw that.
Well, because I'd watched the original interview where they had talked, where Taryn and Mark were talking about working together, collaborating on this, and just having a great time with it. And I was like, and then, Matt had talked about it, and I was like, and for the past, 7 years, I've totally forgotten it exists, which sucks, but that's how my brain works.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Steve, I was going to say, Steve, have you read Jimmy's Bastards? Have you read that?
Jimmy's Bastards. No, I have not.
Yeah. So Jimmy's Bastards is an Aftershock book written by Garth Ennis and drawn by Russ Braun, where essentially it's a 007 figure who has, motivated himself around the world based on the power of his penis, and all of his illegitimate children, his quote-unquote bastard children, are showing back up to kill him. So if you, just based on how much it sounds like you enjoyed this book, you might go check out Aftershock's Jimmy's Bastards. I think it's irreverent Garth Ennis, so I think you'd enjoy it.
Well, seeing as how there's two separate books with similar but different diverging premises here, it sounds like there's actually now a new subgenre of spy fiction, and that is basically spies, bastard children fiction, which I think needs some more entries. So so anybody listening, get to work on that. We need more. More like Jimmy's Bastards and the Illegitimates.
All right, well, before we move forward, please welcome Bryan back to the show after too long an absence.
It's so good to be back, and I'm so sorry. It's not that relevant to this show, but I've been on many adventures since my last time. I don't even remember. When was the last time I showed up? It's months.
September.
It's been several months.
Okay. Yeah, I think September. Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in the country for more than a third of that period, so
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell people what you were doing while you weren't with us?
Oh, let's see. So I work
to the extent that you can.
Anything that's top secret.
I work for the government, so that's all I have to say, and really without going into too much detail. I am not a secret spy, though, and I am not having illegitimate children. So just let's put that out there into the universe.
That's exactly what a spy with illegitimate children would say.
We'll just assume.
Did they draw anyone like Bryan in that book, Steve?
Now that you mention it, inspired by there's this whole thing on this. Yeah, no.
But I do. Funny enough, I do work for the Navy, so that isn't unheard of in the Navy, right? I was in Japan for over a month, and that was amazing and also kind of crazy with all the COVID quarantine stuff. But the time difference alone made any kind of attempt at podcasting or streaming relatively challenging. I think I did one live stream once on Facebook just to say hi and show that I was alive. But other than that, it just didn't work very well. But yeah, I've been very much busy, and I'm happy to be back with my comic book bear brethren here today.
We are happy to have you back. Yay!
And also, thank you for dressing appropriately. I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Oh, honey, I didn't even scratch the surface of what you did. So you deserve all of the props. I have Japanese accoutrements that I set up, and my little lovable oaf hanging out over here that I took with me to Japan, and actually sent Ed Luce some pictures of oaf at various temples and things. But you certainly deserve all of the praise for your lovely background and the whole thing, the whole package. Outstanding.
Ain't he cute?
You said package.
Yeah.
You said pack.
And I am drinking Japanese beer also, by the way, that I did not get in Japan, but I got here in Seattle. That is rife with Japanese beer, it turns out. So yes, I am celebrating Japan for Kurisumas here in Seattle this time.
So Bryan, with
KFC.
all of this particular activity that you've been subject to, have you been able to get any comic reading in?
Thankfully, all of my comic reading, with the few exceptions that I have in my Woof, are digital. So yes, I have actually been able to read a little bit of the X-Men and DC stuff that I follow, but I am very excited. This isn't a woof, but I will just show you guys so you can be jealous. We've talked about this on the show, but I have a copy of, oh god, it's all in plastic. My brother's husband. Yes. Oh my god. And I won't butcher the Japanese title of it also because I don't remember what it is. But I did get this from a store that I'm going to talk about in my woof in the original Japanese. And so my goal as I am studying Japanese is to translate this, not that I need to because it's been translated, already, but this and other things that I will talk about would be fun to read in the original Japanese. So yes, I have had comics, but very, very Sukosh comics, Sukosh manga, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, do you have a book that you'd like to talk about of the stuff that you did read?
Oh, I do. I would not show up without doing some homework. But the question is, do we want to talk Marvel or DC first? Because I got both.
Let's do Marvel.
All right.
Because we haven't talked a Marvel book in ages on this show, really.
All right.
It's been a while, yeah.
Anyone who knows my proclivities of Marvel probably will anticipate what I am about to speak on. And that is X-Men.
The Fantastic Four.
Oh, well, a few years ago, a decade ago, God, it feels like
when Hickman was writing it.
Hickman was writing it, yes. Yeah. And I will throw this in there now because I didn't have a good segue before. I got these cute little minifigs, and you can't see them because my camera doesn't auto zoom. But speaking of Fantastic Four, one of the minifigs that my brothers here at Comic Book Bears got me from Baltimore had a Sue Storm from the Hickman Fantastic Four era, and I am very, very I love these figures. First of all, thank you both. Thank all of you involved. But like I just this is a treasure for sure. So I have awesome. More that I might refer to here if we need them. But so yes, Hickman, yes. X-Men, yes. Can you see where this is going? We're going to talk Inferno. Not Disco Inferno, but classic, the redo of Inferno. Oh, thank you. You got the props and everything, Steve. Great.
It's almost like it was destiny.
Oh,
like we knew.
Outstanding. So, actually, I'm glad you already got there because I would have taken like 10 years to get to that point. But if you're not familiar with Inferno, the original, this is not that. I think we can all largely agree that Hickman is using the term in a certain respects, but I actually think he should have done something with like Days of Future Past, because if you're up to date, and there's only been 3 issues of 4 or 5 total, this is there are things that are related to that series in some way more than the original Inferno series, at least from what we can tell so far. So let's back up. And Steve, I think are you the only one else, or Caleb, have you been keeping up with this? Yes. Okay. And Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
1 and 2.
Oh,
I haven't read 3 yet.
So 3 is good because I just sort of spoiled something, but I don't, I know we don't care as much. But so Hickman is leaving. In fact, he's out the door. He's gone. And we should have all realized this because honestly, Hickman's attention span
is not. Yeah, exactly.
But I love him and I'm appreciative of everything he's done. But I do feel like it would have been cool if he had stuck around, and he may come back. I mean, no one's ruled that out, so hopefully he does. But he has set up this amazing status quo for the X-Men that's all about Krakoa and House of X rather. We've talked about all that. So that if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to go back a few episodes, maybe like, I don't know, at some point. But hopefully we're all up to speed on that. And this is his swan song. This is his last foray into the world of the X-Men for now. Although X-Men Unlimited is sort of also that, but since he wrote that before and it's the way it was released is weird, whatever. I don't think that this is Inferno is his swan song, but Inferno is basically the culmination of a lot of themes he set up in House of X or not House of X, Powers of X.
And Powers of 10.
Yeah. Thank you. Hoxpox. It's been a few years, right?
Hoxpox.
And I'm a little rusty. Forgive my podcasting rust. It's being scraped off slowly here. But yeah, Hoxpox, mainly with Moira McTaggart and her whole ability now to sort of reincarnate with all the knowledge of her history and her life, and then try it again. Her Groundhog Day power, if you will. The culmination in the sense that she is now basically calling out Xavier and Magneto for their struggles, if you will, in leading the mutant nation the way she had intended, and some of the sort of ramifications of that struggle. Add on to that, an amazingly beautiful, in fact, honestly, this is the thing I'm most thrilled about with Hickman's done here. He has written this beautiful love story of Destiny and Mystique that was not hinted at originally, but certainly made a lot clearer over time. But Hickman has done this beautiful queer representation story through those two characters, and the love that they have, that the Mystique specifically has for Destiny. Destiny's reciprocation is a little unclear, honestly. I think Destiny's kind of a cold fish. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but I'm just saying, as far as partners go, I don't know. But clearly, Mystique has a torch and is alive and wants Destiny to come back, because she has not up till this point been reincarnated through the Five and that whole machination that we've seen in Krakoa. So Moira does not want that, because Moira knows if Destiny comes back, she's going to see through the whole thing. And in previous lifetimes, she's had confrontations with them, the two of them. Of course, they have all this rehash of this whole previous conversation where it's like, no, do not bring Destiny back. We can't have her here. Moira's telling Xavier and Magneto this, but of course, it's already happened. And spoiler alert, like we've already kind of been spoiling, Destiny shows up like, hey, I heard there's a seat open on the Quiet Council. I'm going to just sit here and, I'm sure you'll vote me in, but either way, you do your thing, but I'm just going to be here.
Is this seat free? Oh, good, because I'm just going to be sitting here from now on.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like it was pretty much like a done deal, though it was close. It was a close vote. So long story short, and so this is my only thing. The storyline as it is currently standing is very people talking, political maneuverings, not a lot of punching, not a lot of powers, not a lot of action, a little show, a little less tell. I'm sorry, a little tell, a little less show. Beautiful cartooning though. Overall, don't fault the artist here.
Absolutely.
It's just, I think Hickman had a lot he wanted to get out before he left, and it kind of comes across that way, as some of Hickman's stuff tends to do, which I still love. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, the third issue is where we get into the Days of Future Past thing, which I really love. But I mean, overall, are you guys enjoying this? Is it working for you?
Well, the thing I have to ask is if anybody knows this, because Bryan, since you follow Hickman much more closely than I think any of us, initially there was a plan for a Moira X series, limited series, that Hickman wasn't going to write, but was, as the showrunner, would have had a lot of input. Do you think that this takes some of the plans? Has he ever mentioned that? Because it seems strange that was going to be, effectively like one of the marquee events, and we just never got it.
There's so much here that I feel like he had sketched out and wanted to do long term and like over issues that he didn't get to do. But I think that book would have been something else. I think that book would have touched on it as like a story Bible, but it would have been Moira's adventures. Honestly, Moira's story is probably the biggest casualty of this whole Hickman leaving. A lot of it's to do with the pandemic and the way that they had originally planned to do things. A lot of it's honestly to do with their success, because I think Hickman, with his original plan, would have come in, done his story, and left, and probably reset back to status quo, which is, X-Men's at Greymalk and Lane in some way, shape, or form. Like, the fact that it's been so wildly successful has completely changed the status and the arc that Hickman had. But Moira's story, I would love to know what they had originally planned and what didn't get to happen. But I have no Hickman is notoriously sparse in his interviews.
Yeah.
And the ones that he has done, very little to go on.
Well, Hickman did a few things. Like, he planted. So a good writer can give you like one focal point to a long story, right? Hickman gave us 3 to this. So he gave us the Moira story, and then he gave us the future with the Nimrod story, and then he gave us the Destiny thing. And the Destiny thing and the Moira story are definitely intertwined, right? Like obviously we're seeing that now, but they're very easily 3 different things. And then there's a 4th in there, in the fact that they have cultivated this plant that is a salvation plant for everybody, much less anybody. So there's like 4 main plot points here. 4 to anybody else, these would have been the plot. With Hickman, they're strands of whatever tapestry he's weaving. And I think that, I agree with you, Marvel tried to do too much too fast to an all-encompassing thing, and it so much got lost in the weeds, the Moira story included. I forgot about it for a little bit, right? And now we're getting it. I was talking to our friend Bryan the other day, and he said something that kind of cracked me up. He's like, it seems like where we're at now, they gave us this giant buildup, and then all of a sudden it really feels like once it's culminated that it could have been handled with a conversation, and it's a little bit of a letdown. And I don't disagree with that.
But that's very believable too, because humanity is there's so many stories in history and current politics where you're like, if you guys had just sat down and talked, we could have worked through this shit,
Yeah.
I love the fact that Hickman puts these leaders of mutant kind up and roasts them. Magneto and Xavier are whether you're one side or the other, they are the pillars of most of the mutant history, right? They are the great leaders. Now, they've made their mistakes clearly, but they are still held up as the elders, the leaders. And Hickman is roasting them,
showing them warts and all,
which I love. I appreciate his deconstruction of the myth of the hero, even in some of the stuff with the captains of the Krakoa and all that stuff. By not that Bishop is a bad choice, by the way. Bishop takes over from Cyclops, but my guess is the arc of that story, at least, and maybe, is going to show that Cyclops was probably never the right choice either. But I don't know. There's stuff there I think he was trying to unpack about what it means to be a leader and what it means to be a politician and what it means to just all of that. And that's why I love Hickman. The problem is, Caleb, you nailed it. It's too many ideas in one story, in one package, and stuff just gets lost.
Yeah.
So, Steve,
I was going to say, I think one of the big things it kind of goes to the heart of this, and you mentioned this. There's a lot of talking, very little action. All of the action is implied to be happening at some point, maybe in the conclusion, or maybe what's going to basically just destroy everything that's happening. That's been kind of the common thread in Hickman's, lead up to Inferno, is that it's all so very fragile. Everything is so fragile. There's all of these secrets that are going to be revealed, and each secret is devastating. There's these old alliances or old, enmities that are going to boil over and destroy everything. And, you had the Onslaught thing, which happened weirdly enough in what seemed like an extremely quick, couple of issues with the one shot and the Way of X. And, it's just sort of it felt so separate from everything else, and there's all these things, these big things that are kind of drawing off of the Hickman, but it doesn't all coalesce very well. And I think it's not that he hasn't created a really great architecture. It's just that he has his ideas. We cannot stop this train from moving. It's going to go to its inevitable conclusion that Hickman has designed for it, and then everyone else who's going to be continuing with the franchise, in editorial and with the team, is going to have to try and figure out how to make all of their books work around this. Because one of the big things that Inferno is supposed to do, other than throw the entire leadership and future in the island up in question, but also finally pay off a lot of this Orcus and Nimrod stuff, which is what starts happening in issue number 3. So, because that's been happening since the beginning of Hoxpox, and everything with the reveal of Orcus and what they're doing around the sun and the Master Mold, orbiting station thing and the creation of the new Nimrod and all this stuff. This is where it's supposed to be going, and this is where it's supposed to be heading. And the Days of Future Past that you're talking about, and the new timeline, and the redone timeline, and the other timeline, and all of this is tied together with what Hickman's endgame is for this. And I'm very curious how everyone else is going to move on.
Well, and the Days of Future Past thing, just so we're all clear, it's a lovely idea where you basically have that idea of like Kitty Pryde, being injected from the future into the past, but not a mutant in this case, or I guess sort of the Omega Sentinel, whatever karma thing, which I very vaguely remember from the past. So I was kind of like, I had to go back and like, wait, who? But basically, one of the Orci, who is one of the organization that's trying to stop mutants because they believe that they're a existential threat to humanity. They in the far future send this person back, Karma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Karma.
Shapanda, whatever.
Yeah, as an Omega Sentinel, back to our current or back to the past, and then like they are now with that knowledge of the future where mutants win. That was kind of the cool surprise. Is it's like, no, the future was mutants win. Like Krakoa works, mutant kind is dominant, and they come from the past as like, oh my god, I just survived this apocalypse where mutants took over and decimated humanity, and I'm trying to stop that. And then that's why Nimrod comes online early, and just so I love that Hickman worked that in, and I think that's a really cool idea. I worry that without Hickman guiding the writer's room, I'm not exactly sure that some of these finer threads are going to really play through. So, because I'll be honest, of all the books of the X-Men that I like, Marauders, a little bit of the Teeny Howard stuff with Excalibur, but just a little.
Yeah.
Overall, I've been Cy Spurrier somewhat with Way of X. Actually, I did kind of like Way of X. The rest of it's just kind of lost on me. I just don't enjoy it as much. Now, what's coming? They just put this up. Marvel's been releasing, previews and blurbs for the coming stuff. Does look interesting. Kieran Gillen is coming back to the X books, which is fantastic. He's a great writer. He did a great run on X-Men that was kind of in between other eras, so a lot of people probably may have missed it or just dismissed it. I don't know, but it didn't seem like his era was as eventful, but still some good stuff. And he's coming back and is going to take the Quiet Council as his subject, which is very exciting. But I don't know. I'm disappointed that Hickman can do whatever the hell he wants. He's an amazing creator. In full transparency, I am a backer or a subscriber, whatever, in his Substack thing that he's doing. So that's cool. That's great. But overall, I'm just disappointed. Also, I did want to make sure Valerio Schiti is the artist doing the interior storytelling and is killing it with his interiors. So that no shade thrown at Valerio for his art, but some shade at Hickman for just not letting it be more dynamic. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do with Hickman?
Yeah, Skeety's never looked better, man. Like Pepe Larraz stepped in and lifted everybody up. It's insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Bill, I don't know. What do you think?
Bill,
Mute.
mute.
Damn it! The last time I paid very close attention to detail was Cross of Swords or Axe of Swords, or whatever the hell you're calling it. It's the thing with the Hickman era. It's always, or whatever the hell you call it. So I have to finish X-Men, his run on X-Men. The issues that took place after that, I haven't read. I did read Inferno 1 and 2. I just feel that I don't feel comfortable commenting because I know that there are big pieces to the puzzle that I haven't really been exposed to yet. So
You'll get there. I mean,
I'll
honestly,
decline comment. Yeah.
none of us know where this is going because I think we're all like issue 3 sets up some more pieces, but we still don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but but at the same token, though, I do have those gaps. I'm not completely lost. When I started in Inferno, they basically bring you up to speed with the stuff you need to know. So,
I
and
like not knowing
it's also
where
interesting because there are characters that I thought would be major players that
Yeah.
don't seem to have as much juice. But again, some stuff with with Cypher with Doug, I probably have missed that. Those have probably taken place in other books that I haven't caught. So, someday when I actually do like Marvel Unlimited for a month, I'll get caught up.
Mhm.
But I was enjoying what I was reading.
I will say, like just based off something Bill just said, though, I do like that we don't know where it's going, though. So, as somebody who reads a lot of Big Two comics and reads a lot of superhero stuff, we all kind of always like read with the conceit that whatever arc we're on, like they're going to put the toys back in the sandbox. Even with Immortal Hulk, who I'm a big advocate for, I loved that book. I knew at some point they were going to set it up to go on. I don't know that that's true with this. I'm going to be kind of disappointed if it is, actually, because the way that they've I don't know how they've terraformed the planet. I don't know how you go back from that. I mean,
I don't think they are. I think
Yeah.
the realization was, no, this is a way more cool, exciting status quo. That there's so much more story to tell here. That
And at the end
Hickman,
of the-
when he
yeah.
hit that realization with the writers, went, you know what? That's cool. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think this is like even better. I'll step back and go away and do my thing. And then, maybe if they ever do hit the end of that road, he comes back and like finishes it up, or other writers come back and or who are there wrap it
Yeah.
up. Like that's up to them.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that
Yeah.
in theory. I just wanted to see Hickman's full arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll have to jump on something that Caleb said, as I do get that sense that apart from Morrison's run, since the post Claremont era, I think you do have that feeling that eventually Magneto is going to complete an arc and be basically where he was
Right.
when you first came in. And, Storm, that's going to happen to her as well. I do have a feeling, though, that, and like you said, Caleb, like it would almost be disappointment if we do have the status quo that we've been used to. That that you go in, and especially with Hickman, who's somebody who orchestrates seismic changes, it would just be a damn shame if Krakoa was a dream, or you know, uh, I do hope that that's what we see.
And I think we will. I think in the end, whether it's Hickman that has realized it and has set it into motion, or whether it's Marvel editorial that's done it, they have realized that the power in Hickman is I mean, storytelling aside, because he is a great storyteller, the power is like he's Johnny Appleseed, man. He's just planting seeds left and right, and they are literally letting him go through and broadcast seeds and let him walk away. And that's what they need to do. They needed to do that with Hickman. So and I trust Jerry Duggan. Like he's written some great stuff. I think once he finally like gets the X-Men like in his grasp, he's going to go through a great story. Kieran Gillen, he's going to be writing the Quiet Council book, which is going to be a lot of, I think, like you said, talking, telling and not showing. But I think Kieran's great with that type of story. By the way, he just did a really, really great interview over on Off Panel for podcast folks who are listening to other stuff. Go listen to that interview because he talks about it a lot. I think you'll take something away from that.
Okay, well, you sort of have the mic anyway right now, Caleb. Tell us about something you're reading that you're enjoying there.
Oh, okay, I can do that. I don't know if you guys know this about me or not. I really like Jeff Lemire. I don't know if I've said that on the show before, or talked about that at any length. Um, really like Jeff Lemire, whether he's writing his own stuff and pulling things out of the ether of his brain and really telling these like slice of life, true to reality stories that'll just break your heart, or whether he's dabbling into superhero comics as he is wont to do upon occasion. Right now, over at the Distinguished Competition, he is writing Batman and Robin with his longtime partner and collaborator, Dustin Wynn. Look, not only am I a fan of Jeff Lemire, I'm a huge fan of watercolor artists. So this is like crack to me. Like I just want to like fold this up and smoke it. Um, it is it is excellent. He is going back to the very roots of the relationship between Bruce and Dick, um, and and the establishment setting up Dick as Robin. And this is great. He is telling the story of what happens in between the panels when Robin is learning to, or when Dick is learning to trust Bruce, and when Bruce is learning to when to push the gas on Dick and Robin and stuff, and that dynamic in the relationship, it is fantastic. It is it is it is doing an amazing job of wrapping in slice of life and this father son dynamic and grandfather son dynamic when you throw Alfred into the mix, and telling superhero storytelling. Jeff Lemire is the most versatile, dynamic, and for me personally, one of the most important storytellers in comics today. He can do just about anything. I don't know whether he buried something at a crossroads. I don't know, but it is insane to me. Um, I've said this before. I'm an alkalite. Like I am a diehard. Like he sometime last year, I just became a ride or die. Like he is to me as important as Neil Gaiman was to a lot of other folks. I'm not saying he is that across the board for everyone, but to me, he's that. In this second issue, it really takes and it showcases his ability to write something that a lot of people think is really binary with DC. So you either have this something that is incredibly joyful, right? Like that's whimsical and merry and old school kind of golden age-ish, or you have something that's dark and gritty with DC, especially with Batman. He blends them so well. Um, this takes place right at the time where he has adopted Dick, and Dick has started to take on the role as Grayson, and Bruce has breached his trust because Bruce, you know, stole his journal and read everything, and realized what he was doing, and realized that that this was not just a kid that he was taking on as a ward. This is somebody who's going to be playing a very important role, and is a legacy to him. And so he's training him, right? Like he's turning him into a soldier, but oftentimes Bruce forgets that he's a child. Really, where Alfred steps in to put him in check. And this second issue, the first issue they deal with some stuff with Killer Croc, who plays an ongoing role. But this second issue is really fun because uh, in order to kind of bridge a gap and make amends, Bruce is like, "Hey, Dick, it's your birthday. We're gonna go do some cool stuff. You just got in trouble at school because some dudes were bullying you, and you put your foot down on them. Alfred got called to the office. There's a really great principal moment, but we're gonna celebrate your birthday. Come with me. Put that suit on, and it's the Robin suit, right? They jump in the teleporter and they go to the Justice League satellite. This is the first time that Robin meets any of the Justice League. Not only that, as he gets up there, the Justice like he's gobsmacked, right? Like Wonder Woman is there, Hawkman and Hawkgirl are there. Um, he shakes Superman's hand, and his little brain is just exploding. But they've got to go fight Mongol, right? Like they got to go save the day. So they're like, "Hey, you're going to stay here. Hawkman's like on monitor duty, so don't bother him. He's old, grumpy. Like don't ruffle his feathers, pun intended." So just go in this room. There's actually some other people in there that you might enjoy, you might like. He goes in there, and you know who he meets, Bill. You're gonna love this. You're gonna get a giant kick out of it. He meets Roy Harper hanging out in there, being Roy Harper, like being just obnoxious and just edgy. He meets Garth, Aqualad. He meets Wally West, who's speeding around doing all kinds of stuff, and he meets Donna Troy. It's all of the Teen Titans. They're hanging out and they're being sidekicks. minding their business, and they're all like, Roy's like, guys, like, this is stupid. We're also superheroes, and Donna Troy's like, no, dude, we're sidekicks. There's a difference. Like, he's like, no, we should follow them and go fight Mongol. And Robin kind of steps in, and this is the first time he's met these people. It's the first time he's jumped into the mix, and he's like, well, it doesn't have to be either or. We could do something in the middle. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, they're all fighting Mongol. Crime's happening over here. What if we jumped up in the ducks, crawled around, and we'll make sure that Hawkman doesn't see us. We've got a speedster right here. Like, we'll find out where crime's happening, and we'll jump down and handle it like a team. This will be awesome. It's the first formation of the Teen Titans. It is so just exuberant. That's the word I would use to, especially when Dustin Nguyen is doing his magic to it. It is exuberant, and they do just that. They go down and they stop crime. Like, they jump on a ship where King Shark has got some pirates and they're messing with stuff, and they punch a few folks. They start handling the small crime, and then they come back up, and of course they're doing this all while Hawkman is supposed to be on monitor duty, and it's just doing nothing, because they're being sneaky. And it's the first time that Dick not only makes these people who will become lifelong friends of his, but he starts to establish himself as a leader. He starts to establish himself as the person who can see all the moving parts and think their way through and use everybody to their strengths. And this is all very lighthearted, right? This is one, like, I'm reading this and my face hurts from smiling. And then they get back, they go back, and Hawkman comes and checks on them, and they're just shooting pool, hanging out, playing some billiards. And acting like nothing's happened. Like, they've got one over on the old man, who they all like agree is just kind of a butthole, but they all, he's not really. So, and Bruce comes back, Batman takes him back. They go back to the mansion, and again, I should say spoilers with this. It's a few weeks old, so, but they get back to the mansion, and Alfred is like just being regaled by this really cool thing, and Robin can't say too much because Batman doesn't know, so he can't say a whole lot, and he's just telling him how wonderful it was. Like, he got to shake Superman's hand, and in 2 panels, Dustin Nguyen changes the entire tone of the story. Bruce turns around and says, all right, mission report. And Alfred's taken aback. He's like, wait, what? Bruce does the things like, hang on, Alfred, mission report. And Robin starts giving a breakdown of how he would address and take out each of the Teen Titans. Like doing that thing that Batman would do, carrying kryptonite in his belt. Like, he's like, Wally West he's headstrong, but he doubts himself, and I would get into his head. Anna Troy's perfect, right? But it's her perfection that like, the only flaw she has is she trusts everybody. I would manipulate that. So he starts doing the things that we associate with Batman, right? Like having a plan to defeat everybody in the worst case scenario, which is not who Robin is. It's not who Dick Grayson is. It's not who what Nightwing grows up to be. And it's not who Alfred wants him to be. And in that moment, you start seeing this power struggle, this personality pull, all different directions, where they're literally battling over the soul of this child and who he's going to be. And Bruce, bad form but good intention, says, I'm training him to be a soldier because he's got a future. This is who he's going to be. He's too important not to invest in. And at the same time, Alfred says, no, he's too important, so you invest in his soul. Such dynamic storytelling. Jeff Lemire, I'm just like, I could fall on the floor. Granted, I'm an acolyte, worship at the altar of this dude. It is just another way that he is so adept at grabbing the human condition and distilling it into its base elements. And he can tell that in anything, whether it be a weird story like Frogcatcher. If you're reading the Maze book that he's writing right now, which last issue will break your heart, or if he's writing for Marvel or DC, he literally has so many tools in his toolbox he doesn't know what to do with them. It's outstanding. If you're not reading Batman and Robin, you need to be, because it is outstanding. It is outstanding superhero storytelling, and the big two need to be paying attention to this.
Yep. I cannot wait to read issue 2. I cannot wait to read
and
issue
sorry
2.
If I spoiled anything.
It's okay. I've seen enough, and I've never been like, ooh, I've never been that way. So, no, it's cool. Dick Grayson is one of my favorite characters, and I've long said that if there actually was a Trinity in the DC universe, it wouldn't be the three that we have. It would be Superman, Jay Garrick, and Dick Grayson.
Yes.
Because I think that those are the three characters separated a little bit by generation, but those are the three that I think people like.
Yeah.
And that people would coalesce around and rally around if there was something to do. And there's so many great Dick Grayson stories still left to tell. You know, the Superman Dick Grayson relationship I think is fascinating because in my head he was the good, he was the good friend of Dad that he could talk to. Yeah. Without the complications of an Alfred, but also with somebody that sees a bit more through his own eyes. And you're also talking about two orphans,
Right.
and when we have had moments where it's just those two characters, I've always loved it. I loved that, when he became Nightwing, and part that was a tribute to Superman because of the situation with Nightwing and Flamebird and Candor. I love that stuff. I still think there's so many great stories to tell. Dick is a leader, Dick is a friend, and it seems that that's exactly where he is mining. So
Dick to me is the heart of the DC universe. He really is. He's the pulse. You want to see a panel? I didn't show one. I tried to do that with each book. You want to see a panel that will both like make you smile and melt your heart, and also that I would commit felonies to own. I'll show it to you.
Okay. Oh,
look at that. Look, just it could not be done better. There is no medium other than watercolor. This is for this moment. There is nothing that could improve on this.
Yeah.
Just him meeting the JLA, the Justice League for the first time, the moment, shaking Clark's hand, like such a for people like us who grew up on this stuff, who eat this is our bread and butter. That moment is just might be one of the best single issues I've read in 2020 whatever year it is. So it's ridiculous. It's these individuals are so talented.
Okay, but yeah, I'm very excited for issue 2. Okay, so for my book, this is something way different. I wanted to talk about Regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body from Boom. Caleb, did you read this?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so I hate what we're living in right now. Make conspiracy theories fun again. And the meanest description of this for me is this Department of Truth that I enjoyed. But it's written by Christopher Cantwell, and I always get thrown a bit since this guy shares a name with one of the Unite the Right founders and an alt-right figure. And if you ever see an interview with him, I mean, he's dumb as a brick. And I still have problems shaking that. I know it's a different guy, and the artist is Luca Casalanguida. I got that name right. And where we start off in this series, and you have a lot of clues just on this cover with Unknown Corpse 1981, and this happened in real life. In 1981, Lee Harvey Oswald bodies was exhumed in part to confirm, through the very nascent forensic, there hadn't been DNA advances to the point that they could test, but there were certain forensic issues that there was enough interest in authorities and American culture to warrant this. So Marina Oswald did give permission. So that's where the story starts off, in the exhumation of the body. And we have figures that are on the periphery of the park, of the memorial park where the body's exhumed. And ugly is beautiful. If I can just throw you this is the first image you actually see of Oswald's body in its tomb. And David Finch does pretty good ugly is beauty. But this guy Luca is, he's shaking hands with that. And what follows is a we move back in time to early November before the assassination, and there is this figure who is gathering people who are effectively losers together. You have a cowboy who knocks off uh, banks, but at the most inopportune time when two of the three cashiers are out to lunch. So there's only one, and there's only something like $85 in the bank at that time. You have a Hispanic Buddy Holly wannabe who is great at rigging cars and great as a mechanic. Uh, you have a person who's clearly gay, who is very interested in becoming an FBI agent or a uh, CIA operative, but he doesn't have the college background, and he's clearly queer, and that's also an impediment. You also have somebody who's been involved in the civil rights movement and is an agitator, but in her background, you also find out that she is a master forger. So these are four losers that are all great at one thing that they're not necessarily being recognized for. In the case of the cowboy, he does these stupid robberies, but no one's caught him for 4 years. Uh, so so this gentleman of some kind of organization, um, he's only identified himself as Frank, as in Frank Conversation. That was a little bit of a dip in the dialogue there, I have to say, there, Mr. Cantwell. So he's gathering these people together, and what's the purpose of this? It turns out that they need to find somebody who looks like Lee Harvey Oswald. And again, this is 2.5 weeks before the assassination. By the last page, I was gripped, and this was the conspiracy theory book I needed at this time. With how much the QAnon is soured the genuine fun I think people have sometimes in exploring conspiracy theories. Uh, this was what I needed right now. So, Caleb, since you read this, can I just get some of your take on this?
So I thought it was excellent. I actually enjoyed this. There was another book I had read, a graphic novel that I read not too long ago that was similar in tone, and it was actually it was the book. Did you hear what Eddie Gain done? So kind of that same thing, like looks at the peripheral of people around this horrific event and really talks about them. I thought this was a lot of fun though, and I mean, at the end of the day, the conceit is getting the team together, right? And I love that conceit. And so I had a blast with it. Again, it kind of what you're saying. It really did feel like that old school, like let's play with conspiracy theories again. Like let's remember what they were and remember how fun they were. They could be. And all the machinations and stuff that really goes, like the really novel idea of them, where it's not reality. So I thought it was great. It was weird timing, especially considering, like, well, I mean, you said it, the QAnon cult crowd and their obsession with Dallas right now, where they are convinced that, who is it, JFK Jr.
And JFK.
Yeah. One of them is coming. Like they're gonna come back and like run for president. I like so seeing them in Dallas, like so having them surrounded by Dallas was, it's one of those things. It's where like the universe is weird. There are forces that I don't understand that like weave things together and play with energy and stuff that just made this happen at this time. That I thought was really the synchronicity was interesting. Um, but no, I think this is a lot of fun. This is getting put on my pull list. It was not at first. I grabbed it just off the shelf because the cover kind of caught me. I was like, oh, this is weird and neat. Let me see what this is. And yeah, I'm locked in for the whole thing.
And Bryan, just to tie into something that I know you've gotten very used to with Jonathan Hickman and the graphs and the charts, we have the 1963 version of that.
Yeah.
With redactions and people there, so it's present there too, and
I
also
love
interesting.
a good infographic. That's awesome.
And also in terms of that, it's also very Hickman in that it frames the story as well. So some correlation there. And again, that is from Boom Studios. And I don't know anything that this Luca Casaguida did prior to this. I don't know if that name's familiar to anybody, but very, very nice stuff. So now we're kind of against the wall in terms of time. I think we can do a second book, but we got to do them really quick. So almost like a nugget of the book. So if you can go, Steve, start with you and just say, just the basics of another book that you read that you enjoyed.
Absolutely. I'm going to cut into my time by pulling up some of these comments here because we've had a lot of them. John Runyon joined us. Merry Christmas, Bears. So, hey, John. Great to see you. And Adam Anderson actually mentioned, going back to early Hickman talk, Fantastic Four is main book he collects, so that's definitely good. And then also James Figueredo, of course, replied for Caleb's book. Dustin Wayne is so good, my God. And Adam Anderson has also been reading Oswald's Body. Has been a crazy good book. So yes, definitely agree with all of that.
Yeah. That one really I did not hit, and I have to at this point because now I'm in a mood.
And we also,
I was gonna say I replied to James, but with different platforms, so I don't know if he saw it or not. But yeah, absolutely, and also I heart you, James. So
pre-James, the two of them together are magical. So that is definitely the truth. Wen and Lemire. So my quick book, The Crimson Cage. The Crimson Cage. This is a wrestling book that's also inspired by Macbeth. So John Lees is the writer on this. He's a Scottish writer, and Alex McCormick and Ashley McCormick do the art and colors respectively. Basically, it is a retelling of Macbeth, but taking place in 1984 Louisiana small regional wrestling promotion, where the lead character is basically he's a big wrestling hero for local promotion. His wife is also kind of an up and coming character, and the big world champion comes to town, and meanwhile he ends up getting a prophecy by some strange swamp witches, because of course it's Louisiana, who tell him that it's his time to be the champion, but sometimes you got to take it. Full retelling of Macbeth, but with full kayfabe on display. Very, very wrestling centric for the 80s. It's perfect. Also, lots of Perry Jess. Anyway, I really recommend it. AWA putting it out, Crimson Cage. Check it out if you love wrestling and or Shakespeare.
Okay, Bryan, how about you?
So I read and I've been keeping up with Superman and the Authority, which is Grant Morrison's alleged swan song, with Mikhail Janin and Travis Foreman?
Mm-hmm.
Travel Foreman. What a great name. I love it. I'm a little confused by it, and that's absolutely standard with Morrison. But what I really appreciate is the fact that he got to tell a Superman story that is in a different era of Superman's life, that isn't the ones that he has been able to talk to before. And I really love the reinvention of the idea of the Authority with some of the actual members of the original Authority, like Midnighter and Apollo. Also fabulously done. And if you again, like myself and like all of us, really like seeing queer representation in characters, especially that are organically were originally whatever. He does a great job with these two for sure. But it's just overall, it's a delightful four issue mini. It gives a little bit of a tease to what could come next in a way that touches back to some New God stuff and some Tom King, most recently New God stuff that I thought was really cool. Whether or not anything comes of that is up in the air, because it's sort of here's some things to play with, have fun, like we were talking about Hickman being Johnny Appleseed, very much in the same respects here with what Morrison's doing. But I am interested in what Bill is going to talk about, because evidently the writer of Action Comics and Grant sort of melded minds since they both were playing with some of the same toys, and it like sort of works, but not. I don't quite understand.
Yeah, no, basically this is the story. Superman and the Authority was the plan for Superman as part of 5G. Instead of revising the story, and plus because there were like I think 3.5 of the 4 issues already drawn, they basically published that as is. And what they did is they took a lot of elements from that story and just put them in the Superman timeline that's happening right now. So that's what you have in Action 1036 and 1037. Um, it feels like it's taken forever to get to Warworld. With these storylines with the Philosians and everything. But basically, that's what we have. Like the current Mongol, it seems there's Mongols, kills the sons and the fathers, and there's always a new Mongol. Which I think is even referenced in Superman versus the Authority on Superman and the Authority. Bryan, if you haven't read it yet, a book that we talked about was Batman, Superman, and the Authority, which was a one shot, which is almost a bridge. It gets you caught up to speed with a lot of the stuff that's been happening in Action Comics, specifically with Superman and Midnighter. And there also is a Midnighter annual, which wraps up the backstory, which is like effectively a future state situation. But right now they've taken bits and pieces of all that, and it's the same theme. It's the same team as you see here, Apollo and Midnighter and Manchester Black, which I think is the most interesting addition because Manchester Black was never a member of the Authority. He was a member of the Elite, which was an Authority knockoff for one particular story. So I just thought his inclusion, especially from Morrison, was just brilliant. And some other, a new version of OMAC, Enchantress, the new version of Light Ray, which seems to be important, and the Natasha and Steel. So that's the team that he has set up. And what we have just to talk about very quickly is he goes to the United Planets. The United Planets' current leader is Durlin, and brings up the Philosians, which were the slaves on Warworld that apparently have a connection to Krypton. May not necessarily be Kryptonians, but they all bear the House of L sign as either tattoos or basically like even just like bloodied through cutting into their body. And when
like
he and when he gets to Warworld, when he finds out what happened to the Philosians, it's pretty stunning. Yeah. So there's something going on with the United Planets, and there's bureaucracy of whether they're going to be there to intervene. And this is one of the Empire Strikes Back issue. Everything goes to shit, and I don't know where they go from this point. Because it kind of looks like Final Fates. But of course, it's going to be an Action 1038. So be interested to see where that goes. But if you are interested, we do have continuance in this book from that. Okay. All right, and Caleb, how about you? What's another book you were going to?
So just enough of this DC talk, right? Let's talk some Marvel real quick. So I love that we're all kind of simpatico on this and bouncing back and forth because it makes it really fun. So before I start on this book, I do just want to say, piggybacking off of the book that Bryan talked about, in the spirit of Christmas, just purely in the spirit of Christmas, if Daddy Superman wants it, I will gift it to him. He can have. Daddy Superman,
and also
you
get Daddy Superman because he is sick.
Yes,
and the gray hair's coming out because of that.
Yes, they can. Yes,
pick and choose the little bits. Yeah,
I will put a stocking and nothing but a stocking on just for him. He is adorable. So, but anyway, like I said, back over to Marvel. I'm going to talk about this book because I promised Adam Anderson in the chat that to hang out because his favorite book is the one he collects most is Fantastic Four. And there's a book right now that features a member of the Fantastic Four that is amazing, and you should pick it up and read it. And it's a miniseries. It's The Thing. And I have a variant cover of number 2 drawn by Eastman. So, pretty cool stuff. If you read the first issue, again, I'm apparently talking about second issues today. Um, Alicia has left Ben, right? Sadness. It's bad. So he gets on a dating app and is trying to find everybody. Of course, he's got body issues and stuff like that. And so he finds this one lovely lady who he's going to go on a date with, and something goes wrong. They're attacked by this weird, strange looking villain who with tires on his arm. And he's going to punch his way through, and he kidnaps the date and takes her to a subterranean uh, city, fort, something that apparently is beneath the Isle of Manhattan, that was built down there by by what what would constitute millionaires in the 20s or so. They built up this entire city as kind of a wasteland bunker, but it has been inhabited and overtaken by people who are outcasts of society, who have set up their own society down here deep beneath the bowels of the city. Um, so the thing is, he's kind of like, well, my date got kidnapped. I probably should do something about this. Crawls down in the sewer, but meets a young boy while he's on his way down, who seems to know a little too much about how things work with everything. Like this kid just happens to know who everybody is and what everybody's going. And Ben's like, dude, why aren't you in school? But the kid's like, I got better stuff to do. And carries around a cloth with him that he can throw at Ben that turns into a magic gauntlet somehow. There's more to this kid than meets the eye. Just in the spirit of brevity, of course, what you might expect is Ben saves the day. He is able to rescue his date from this guy. And of course, this guy has a whole backstory of why he turned out the way he did. It's excellent. Part of why this book is excellent is because of the writer, who is a person that but you don't know from comics, and that is the one, the only, the great Walter Mosley. I am a huge fan of Walter Mosley from detective fiction. If you've ever read or / watched Devil in a Blue Dress, phenomenal book. He is aces. It is drawn by Tom Riley, who I love seeing this book. Tom Riley is a wonderful artist. I've followed him for a long time. Almost has a Samney vibe to him. Actually had a book come out a couple years ago that was going to be a giant hit. The writer got Me Too, deservingly so, that put a damper on the whole book. So I felt so bad for Tom because he's a great dude, had nothing to do with that situation, and just kind of got, like, the book that was getting all the attention got taken down. So great to see him being linked up with Walter Mosley in what is just a purely really fun, continuity doesn't matter, action packed, no holds barred, rough and tumble story where Ben Grimm is being a detective and trying to figure out where everything comes from. Revolving around this woman, and with some of the powers that the guy has in this underground city, which by the end of the story he can't leave. So kudos to this entire team. Again, I'll show a little bit of the art because it needs to be seen. And sorry for the weird angles and the floppy of all that, but really great work by Tom, and Jordi Belair doing the colors. You can't go wrong. So stunning team. So go check out The Thing. If you're a Fantastic Four fan, this book is going to make you happy.
Okay, great. I decided with that book I was just going to wait for a collection.
Yeah.
But it seems like with Fantastic Four, I'm mostly getting the things like Life Story, and I'm not getting the main series because I don't know. Like, if Dan Slott was writing the Fantastic Four that was in the Spider-Man and Human Torch miniseries that he did, like that, I'd be getting. Yeah. I hate that I lost interest in, because Slott is one of my favorite writers.
No shade against Dan Slott, because I know he is your favorite writer. He's a very talented person. I think Marvel made the wrong choice. They should have given the Fantastic Four to Chip Zdarsky, who wrote the Marvel 2-in-1 story. He was on fire with that. He really understood those characters. I think they should have stuck with him. Instead, they gave him Daredevil, which he has done, by all accounts, a phenomenal job with. But I was actually going to talk about Devil's Reign, but
I almost talked about the Justice League Last Ride. Give him that. Since Bendis is leaving with 74, 75 unexpectedly, I hope it's Chip. I really do.
Yeah.
I hope this was the audition. Yeah. Now, and I would absolutely agree with you. But on that, so I would have loved to have seen a Zdarsky Fantastic Four, just as I would love to see a Hickman Legion of Superheroes. There's a lot of things I'd like to see. I hope we eventually do get them. So
Adam says quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. Adam says miniseries has been interesting. And number 2 works almost as a standalone issue.
It really does.
And that's also interesting because, like the when I fell in love with Dan Slott was the Thing miniseries, which was it wasn't a miniseries, but it only ended up being 8 issues, and issues 4, which is when they bring Lockjaw into the story, and then issue 8, which is the poker game. Those work wonderfully as standalone stories as well. Yeah, I have to check this out. But just with this one, I was going to wait for the collection on that. All right, so we've been with you for a while, so we're going to start wrapping this up. And when we wrap an episode of the Comic Book Bears podcast up, we do so with a segment we call the Woofs of the Week segment. In the bear community, I love that with the thing. In the bear community, if you find a fella attractive, you woof at him. We do something very similar here. We woof at a film or a TV program or a comic or a charitable initiative, anything under the sun that we think you, fair listener, or viewer may be interested in sampling. I'll start as I always do with Steve. Steve, what is your woof of the week?
My woof of the week is The Witcher season 2 on Netflix. If you haven't watched season 1, go and watch that now. If you haven't played the games, if you haven't read the books, if you haven't read Witcher or haven't played Witcher number 3, Witcher 3 is amazing on every single console. It's on every console that you can find right now, or on PC, whatever. Just play it. It's like reading an entire, massive novel cycle. But the TV series does an amazing job of trying to condense all of these wonderful books and all the mythology from the games and everything together into a really enjoyable series. Henry Cavill, oh my God! Speaking of Superman being able to get anything as a present, give me Henry Cavill. And the actress who plays Yennefer is absolutely just one of my favorite people right now. She's just amazing. And this season we also have a lot more for Ciri to do. So, Witcher 2 or Witcher season 2,
and Graham McTavish
and Graham McTavish also shirtless randomly for fun playing Dijkstra. Why not? And also other thing. There's a prequel series that's coming. The trailer just dropped for it. Michelle Yeoh as an elven swordswoman from 1,200 years before the timeline of the current Witcher series. So it's all coming. Witcher universe is good. Go check it out. It's wonderful and amazing.
Okay, over to Bryan. Bryan, what is your woof of the week?
So this is a treasure I brought back. I got to go on an adventure in Tokyo. My last night in Japan, I went to a store in Ueno called Big Jim. If you're ever in Tokyo and you want some bear-ish or just gay, any kind of comics, adult materials of any kind, this is a recommended. I highly recommend it. Osusume is what they call it as far as a recommendation. So this is Seaside of Omowari-san, and the artist, the mangaka is Neyu Kido, and it's set in Okinawa. It's a very quick little manga. Set in Okinawa about a officer who's sort of taking a station out there, and he has a drunk buddy or a buddy of his who he's interested in, and they have a little adventure, let's just say. I won't show you the interiors because it is, even though it is safe in certain ways, like little marks, little protection, whatever. It's explicit. This is for your adults, not a child manga for sure. But Big Jim is great. That's where also I got the Tagame, my brother's husband, and some other cool stuff, which my Comic Book Bear colleagues will be receiving something from that store. As my only thing I will say, it's not a lot. Don't get too excited here, but it is very exciting, and I look forward to each of your reactions to the things that I selected. So I am very interested when that happens. But I hope you'll check it out. The Neyu-Kido, this actually is online. So if you don't want to, you're not in Tokyo, which no American is going out there unless they're there for work. I'll post a link to this in the chat. You can actually read the translated and explicit version on this website I found. So enjoy, but also go check out Big Jim if you're ever in the Tokyo area.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryan. Over to Caleb. Caleb, what is your wolf of the week?
All right, so I got three, and I'll make them real quick. The first one goes to this guy right up above me, to Bryan. It's so good to hear your voice again. This is the first time that you and I have really gotten to talk since September. I've missed you, and this feels so nice and complete to have you back here. The second goes to my husband, who did some traveling pre-Christmas. He went down to New Orleans and got me this awesome shirt that says "Homo" in New Orleans. So when he gave this to me, it took me a second to realize what it was, and I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic." And then to take a page out of Steve's book, my wolf of the week, the main thing, goes out to a show that we just got through watching, because I get to watch TV now that I'm on break, and it's called The Nevers. It's a TV series. It's kind of new. We watched it on HBO Max. It is phenomenal. Bryan, if you haven't seen this, you will love it. It's basically like Gaslamp X-Men. So essentially the gist of the story is, in this Victorian era, mainly women, there are some men involved too, but mainly women have been affected by this otherworldly thing, that gives them powers, and that the powers manifest in different ways. They're essentially mutants, just like the X-Men, in a Victorian era setting, and they all have gathered at this home, like a school for gifted youngsters. It is incredibly cool, because what's happening in here is there are these different political machinations. I don't like the name that they give these people, because from being from the South, there are some kind of derogatory context. They call these people the Touched, but again, that's more colloquial. And they have powers and can do all kinds of cool things. There is a murderer that they are trying to hunt down and stop. At the same time, the bourgeoisie, the people at the top, are trying to stifle them, and there's some racism and bigotry happening, and some eugenics being talked about. Really great show. Like, there's different sides to everything. Excellent acting. The main character, Amalia True, is played by Laura Donnelly, who is fantastic. It is hands down one of the most wonderful things I've seen in a long time. And I think Steve has watched some of this too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's great. Go watch it if you haven't.
Okay, awesome. My wolf of the week also goes out to a TV series. Over the past few days, I have fallen in love with Ghosts. Now, I'm not talking about the United States version, which I've started and I'm enjoying, but I'm talking about the British series that began in 2019. The conceits are very similar. There's some direct correlation with the United States narrative, but especially in a time where we, as good as shows like Fleabag are, there is a certain kind of anxiety that you get watching these shows, and to see a British comedy that plays a hell of a lot for laughs, but also has some genuinely touching moments with the backstories of the ghosts that inhabit Button House. Just been really, really enjoying it. I have one more episode of season 3 to watch, and I believe on the 24th, which I guess would be Friday, there is a Christmas special that's coming out with Jennifer Saunders as Lady Fanny's mother. The actress who plays Lady Fanny is only 41 years old. That's all makeup, which blows my mind.
That's right. Yes, that is right. Yeah.
And in terms of Ben Wilbond, I've kind of fallen in love with the captain. I'm in love. So call me. I do now. Steve and Bryan, I know you guys have watched this series. Is there a U.S. platform it's legally on, or yeah?
Yes, I believe it's
HBO
on
Max.
Yes, HBO Max. has all of it.
Awesome. Okay, then I
Yeah.
don't feel so bad about bringing the show up. So
I
again,
had to
go.
think about that for a second. It was like,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
'Cause I didn't watch it on HBO Max, so I'm very glad to hear that. And by this time next week, I should have been caught up on the U.S. series as well. So I don't mind mainlining stuff once in a while. So this has been enjoyable. So, thank you for joining us. Again, we are the Comic Book Bears podcast. You can find us on the Twitter and the Tumblr and the Instagram as Comic Book Bears. You can find us on the Facebook as Comic Book Bears Podcast. If you want to write to us, please do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to us, please do so by downloading us through Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us through Stitcher Radio and many of the other podcasting platforms. And if you are watching us through Facebook Live or have watched us in the past through Facebook Live, there were a lot of good choices you had tonight. LCD Sound System had their special tonight, and our good friends over at A Comic Book Look have their regular Wednesday show, I assume. So thank you for joining us during this time. And if you did double duty, we especially thank you on that. But it's been a pleasure having you along for the ride. If you are watching this after a time delay on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and leave a positive comment. We're still desperately trying to improve our profile on that particular platform. And now for a bit of an announcement. We are going to be on a bit of a hiatus. So it'll probably be about 4 weeks before you have another episode, another live stream. There will be an audio episode available in the stream, but it will not be comic related. I'm reviving a podcast I attempted to do 5 years ago. And if you are curious about UK punk from the 70s, maybe tune in. So that will be available in the audio feed. But in terms of the Comic Book Bears podcast, we are taking about a 4-week break because of conflicts that exist through January. But it won't be too long. Maybe catch up on old episodes, or write to us, and we'll talk to you. We'll be talking to each other through this anyway, but in terms of actually having a live stream, we will not be able to do that for about 4 weeks.
Well, and you can catch Bryan doing some of his lessons and stuff. He'll be popping up every once in a while in places.
Do you know what I'm actually going to be doing now? I'm going to be starting a radio show, and I'll post some link to it when it's up live. But I started playing around with it. Anyway, so yes, there will be content. Of course, Southern Fried Geekery is still ongoing. Yep. Flame On is still ongoing. So all of these things, you can certainly fill your voids, if you will.
Yes.
But I'm excited. I know some of what the conflicts are, and they're really good conflicts.
They're very good. They're not. Nobody's checking into a hospital or anything like that. It's all good.
I'm taking a nap. That's what I'm doing.
Taking a nap.
In fact, we actually had to strong arm somebody into just accepting that there was going to be a 4-week break. So
me.
So again, thank you for joining us. We've almost put 2021 behind us. Fuck that guy. Let's hope it's 2022 and not 2022.
Yeah, right.
2020.
Yeah. So we've, it's been almost 2 years of this stuff, and I also have to say, Bryan, thank you so much for initiating, because it was really you that initiated the video live streams. I don't know if that would have happened without you playing around. So it's, since March of 2020, we've been on this particular ride, and it's definitely been rewarding having this component along with the audio. So thank you for doing that. And I have to say, today was like a bit of a rough day for me, going to the cemetery and laying the grave blankets, and just the whole process of over the last few weeks of getting the Christmas cards out, and realizing these are some people that are very close to me in my head, but I haven't seen them in ages. And I can speak for everybody. I think genetically all 4 of us were born to hug, and not having that outlet has been tough. Let's hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. That at least we can like see the glimpse of it within a few months. So I love you guys. I love talking to you guys. I know the group chat's not going to end just because somebody goes on a plane on vacation to a beautiful destination.
It's only a 5-hour time difference.
Yeah.
For some of us, it's even less.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Until next time, I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Bryan Pittard.
I'm Steve Morey.
And I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie, wrapping up the tail end.
You're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back real soon. We'll be back next year. Take care, everyone.
Woof.